Bear with me one moment. It's still going. And after it launches, I'm going to hit the record button to record also. So continue to bear with me. And I think we are here. Oh, are you all seeing anything?
I got the
I
live
mean,
stream pop up, not the recording pop up.
awesome. Our internet is running a bit slow, so I'm seeing things a bit more slowly. So bear with me one moment as I hit record.
Sure.
And we're here.
All right, we're good, Patrice. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the MAPC Executive Committee meeting. Today is Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. My name is Erin Wortman. I'm MAPC President, and I'm calling the meeting to order at 11:36 a.m. I'm going to first call roll. So if everyone could just come off mute. Here we go. Imai.
Present.
Colette. Keith.
Present.
Karen.
Here.
Jen. Tom D. Whitney. John. Sarah D.
Here.
Tom G. Mo.
Here.
Sagoon. Tabor.
Here.
Robert. Sarah L.
Here.
Angie.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Oh, thank you. Viana. Vandana. Claire.
Here.
Sam.
Here.
Steve S.
Here.
Juan. Elaine.
Here.
And Erin here. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. Okay, the approval, next up on the agenda is the approval of minutes from September 17th, 2025. If there are no questions or comments, I'm going to ask for a motion to put it on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Imai.
Second.
Oh, everyone was so excited. I'm going to say Tabor got the second on that. So motion made by Imai, second made by Tabor. That item is now on the consent agenda. Thank you so much. All right, next up is the treasurer's report. I'm going to call up Treasurer Sam to give his report.
Thank you, President Erin. Hello, everybody. Sam Seidel, Treasurer. Today, we are going to look at income statements from July of this year and from August of this year. The basic story is a good one. It is the start of our fiscal year, starts July 1. So it's the first couple of months of FY26. We like what we see. I'll just draw your attention to the direct labor numbers and their percentages. Basically, we had a lot of direct labor. That's the work we bill out to clients, as it were, and we get paid for. Very high in July, 102% higher than what we had budgeted for, and then high in August as well at 93%. That's because there was a lot of projects that were just finishing up, particularly in Homeland Security, which is on a different fiscal year than our fiscal year. They're in October 1, so there's a lot of work to do over the summer. Also, our administrative expenses were lower than what we budgeted, so that drove down our overhead rate. The reasons for that were there's some overhead positions that haven't been filled yet. But not to worry, we think that's going to balance out as we move forward into the fall, into Q2. We expect there'll be some FMLA that will be taken. That will take people out of the direct labor works category and onto the administrative side of the budget. For the year to date, so we're just in month 2, we're at an overhead rate of 114.0, which is well below the one that we approved back in the budget in June of 127.8%. But as I say, we expect that to balance out as the months go along. Nothing else I really want to note. That concludes the Treasurer's report. And I'm happy to take any questions or comments or thoughts.
Great. Thank you, Sam. Any questions or comments? Great. So with that, okay, thank you. And with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to put the approval of the treasurer's report on the consent agenda.
So
So
moved.
Okay, I'm going to say this time it was motion made by Tabor, second made by Mo. Thank you so much. This item is now on the consent agenda. All right, next up, executive report. Take it away, Executive Director Lizzie.
Thanks so much, Erin. I just need to find where I have hidden it for myself. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So folks, you should have received the executive report on Indigenous Peoples Day. I know sending it out on a Monday is probably not, on a Monday, holiday Monday was not ideal, but I don't get the actual information from our staff to consolidate it into a report until Friday. So that's why it comes to you on the Monday afternoon. But I wanted to highlight a number of pieces in here, and I talked a little bit about this in the email when I sent it out. I think in light of the next topic, which we're going to be discussing around federal issues, one of the things that was most impactful to me when I was reading through this month's report from the team is how much of the work that the team is doing really focuses on MAPC's core values and strategic initiatives, and really focuses our work on equity. And so I want to try to highlight some of those pieces for all of you as I go through the report today. So the first one you'll see there is a lot of really amazing work happening inside our clean energy team. We've talked a little bit before about the Justice 40 Advisory Group for Climate Action Plan, but you'll see a little bit of a description of what the Justice 40 Advisory Group did, how many times they met, the relationships that we were able to build, and how we're actually starting to talk about importing some of those relationships and connecting them to other projects across the agency. So I encourage you to read that. I also want to draw your attention to the next item in the Clean Energy team is around the Municipal Energy and Sustainable Managers Academy. This is really cool work where we're building a training program for municipal energy and sustainability managers across the whole Commonwealth that offers a free technical training. And it kicked off. And you can see there's like a picture of everybody who was participating. We're hoping that this is essentially the first year of several, but it's really useful work at the local level because, I think everybody knows it's so many of our communities are so understaffed in this space that we're hoping that this training will kind of help to same page everybody there. We also have, I wanted to highlight the Community Heat Resilience Project. And this is actually work that we're doing with 3 communities, Salem, Lynn, and Somerville. And the reason I wanted to highlight this project is because it's really focused on creating community-based solutions to heat resilience. And the goal of the work that we're doing right now is to basically set the communities up to do implementation projects, pilot projects in the summer of 2026. So we're kind of teeing ourselves up for next summer. And this work is really rooted in strong community engagement. So we actually did a qualitative data analysis that each of the community cohorts led throughout the summer. And we're using that to inform this work. Really, again, really strongly equity focused. I want to move down to highlight 2 initiatives inside our data services team. So I want to note the Salem Digital Equity Plan. I think folks around this table know we've been doing a lot of digital equity planning work over the course of the last 3-ish years at this point. But the Salem plan is a little different because they are really taking a DEI-focused approach to digital equity. So the lens that we're looking at with the city is focused on racial justice and immigration status. And we're really trying to create a digital equity plan that'll end up being incredibly inclusive for the city. Really excited about this work. And I also want to draw folks' attention to the next item in data services around the Metro Mayor's Coalition Municipal Finance Working Group. So I'm sure folks saw last week that MMA released a really great report around municipal finance and sort of the impact of Prop 2.5. I've had a number of conversations with the MMA team and the researcher who did their work. They actually used some of our data. But at the same time, we were doing a bit of a behind the scenes project with Metro Mayor's communities. And it was really focused on looking at municipal finance and understanding the impact of 2.5 on those inner core communities. That research is actually continuing. So we kind of kicked off the initial working group effort when Zoe from our data services team presented to the Metro Mayor's Coalition in September. But we're kind of kicking off the next body of work in that space. And so we just stay tuned because there's kind of more work that's coming in this space. And I wanted to highlight it for all of you because I'm excited about it. I'm seeing that in the chat, it looks like a lot of folks didn't actually receive the executive report. I'm so sorry that it seems like maybe it got stuck. I will check my outbox and see what I did wrong. I definitely sent it.
Hey, Lizzie, I think it got stuck because it was a large file. I got a kickback
Okay.
when I forwarded it to Erin. So folks, I'm going to send it as a link. And so hopefully you can get that now. So
I even
look for that.
PDF'd it and wrote a really heartfelt Indigenous Peoples Day message too, but you'll have to wait until next year to see a heartfelt Indigenous Peoples Day message. Are folks okay if I keep going through the report? Okay, great. Okay, so I wanted to highlight also, so this is award that went to our data services team, the Massachusetts Excellence in Technology Award. This went to our data services team and municipal collaboration team. That was presented at the EOTS Digital Government Summit. And we were recognized for the work that we did in our Gateway Cities apartment Wi-Fi pilot, which concluded and kind of kicked off that next phase of the digital equity work and apartment Wi-Fi work that we're doing with our cities and towns. But it was really, really nice for the team to actually be recognized in this space. I want to highlight, going down a little further, I want to highlight the government affairs team did their municipal conference, the MARPA DLS conference. That was just last week because time. And we had the lieutenant governor there offering keynote remarks, and then we did a panel with 4 secretaries. It was a really great day. It was incredibly well attended. Norman inside the government affairs team really took the lead on planning the conference, and it is a statewide conference that we work on with our statewide RPA partners, but MAPC and Norman in particular really take the lead on the planning. It was a great day. I think a number of you were there. I want to highlight the work in land use around the Good Jobs Metro Boston Coalition. So folks might remember that MAPC received a grant alongside a number of other partners from the Department of Commerce's EDA award. It was a $23 million award, and there were sort of 3 sectoral focuses around clean energy and healthcare, but also one directly related to childcare. And the CALE, which is the Community Advocates for Young Learners, was our partners on the childcare portion of that grant, and they concluded their grant-funded activities, and they actually met their goal of getting 850 new childcare workers placed in childcare jobs. It was a really hard project, but we were really proud to be able to be a part of it and to get them to actually reach that goal. It was a really big deal. Continuing on, I just want to note that if you read the Shannon section, you'll see that Shannon is entering its 20th year. It's a really big deal for the Shannon Grant Program, and we're talking about another celebration of the program this year. The team also, so we submitted our application to the Office of Grants and Research, OGR, but the team has also done a lot of work in the past couple months. It's not really highlighted here, but I wanted to share it with you to help our project partners actually receive funding more equitably from the Shannon program. It's partly because we did actually receive a cut in last year's budget on Shannon. And the team has just done a lot of incredibly thoughtful work when they rolled out some of the changes with our project partners. Everyone was actually really on board, which you don't usually find when you're potentially letting folks know that they might get a cut. But I'm excited that they put in another application. I can't believe, honestly, that Shannon's in his 20th year. And we're going to be doing a lot of advocacy work this year to bring that back up. I want to next highlight the Disability Pride Day that our public health team led. So for the past year and change, the public health team has been working with the Cambridge Public Health Department related to experience of people with disabilities in the community, and together decided that it would be a good idea to host a Disability Pride Day in Cambridge. It was its very first. And it was 2 Saturdays ago, and it was next to the library right in Cambridge, and about 450 people attended the event. We also got just an incredibly warm outlay of support from all of the other folks that we were planning this with. Ursula and Tanaya and our public health team were really leading on this effort, and they're already in conversations with Cambridge about doing it again next year and building on the work that we helped to shed light on. I want to highlight the Salem work around eliminating multifamily parking minimums. So Mayor Pongalo had a signing of the ordinance around this. And it's the reason it was really exciting for us is that Salem was actually the first municipality to apply our perfect fit parking methodology to inform these changes, even though there are other communities in our region that have moved to address parking mins. This was a big deal, and we were really excited to be able to highlight it with the mayor. And then lastly, I just want to note that we have a handful of new staff that are joining the agency. I encourage you to read about them. It's really 3 really incredible people that are coming to MAPC. Lourdes Alvarez is going to be our Assistant Director of Arts and Culture, not to be confused with the Lourdes Alvarez who also works at MAPC and is the Assistant Director of Finance. We hired Austin Nipper as the Senior Economic Development Planner, and we hired Alex Almanzar to join the Municipal Collaboration Team and do a lot of our grants management work. And I think that's everything. And I'm happy to take questions, though I'm so sorry that most of you are now just seeing this for the first time.
Great. Thank you, Lizzie. Any questions or comments? And I did receive the email from Andrea with the link. So thank you so much for sending that, as well as the link in the chat.
I'm so sorry about that.
It happens. It happens. So any other questions or comments? Great. All right. Next up on the agenda, Lizzie, hold on to the mic because now is the update on federal impacts.
Sure. So I really just wanted to take a little bit of time at this meeting to update all of you on places where MAPC has seen impacts from decisions or funding decisions at the federal level. I know that a lot of our communities are also experiencing challenges at the local level. We just had a Metro Mayor's meeting yesterday, and we were talking about some of the impacts on the work requirements around food security benefits and the upcoming work requirements that are going to be associated with healthcare benefits. But wanted to update you on the direct impacts that we're seeing at MAPC. So within the past couple of weeks, we have actually seen some pretty significant funding impacts. We were notified that we would not be getting a planning grant that we typically get from the Economic Development Administration. And none of our sister RPAs in Massachusetts received that grant. The only entities that received that funding, which typically receive that funding, were our partners in New Hampshire. But all the rest of the New England states did see a cut in that planning grant funding. We also saw a cut. I think folks probably saw that the Department of Energy made some grant cuts last week. We had received a grant that went from Department of Energy to our department, Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources, DOER, and MAPC was a subrecipient of that grant. It was specifically to look at building codes and to do some work around building codes for our cities and towns. That grant also seems like it is very likely to be suspended as well. And so we are thinking about how we reallocate some resources to continue to support that work in a much more limited capacity. And then the last thing I just wanted to alert folks about is funding around Homeland Security. So I'm sure this has been in the news a bit, but the Department of Homeland Security cut funding pretty much across the state to states and localities because they're regional councils that deal with Homeland Security, where there was any nexus to welcoming or sanctuary status. And so the state of Massachusetts received the biggest cut to their UASI program, which MAPC does not manage. That's the urban area security initiative. We do not manage that program, but it saw a really big cut. And then the place where we saw a cut on the Homeland side was around the management of those dollars. So they kept the funding level for the program pretty much the same, but then zeroed out the dollars to run the program, which are essentially the dollars that would come to us. So there were a number of lawsuits immediately filed, particularly on that Homeland Security one. Those dollars are dollars that we probably wouldn't be using for another year and a half. So we have some time to really understand the impact that they would have on MAPC and our ability to continue to support that program. But it was the first time we saw the potential for a really significant cut. On the flip side, we have received funding in our UPWP program. So that's through the state's federal transportation funding. So CTPS and all the MPOs across the state did receive funding for that. And then MAPC received the portion. We are under contract for those dollars. They're not cash in hand yet. But so some pieces are moving and some pieces are deeply impacted by the decisions that are happening at the federal level. Those are all the pieces on the funding side. I also just wanted to let all of you know that we are having some internal conversations around the impact on increased ICE activity in a number of our communities, especially our high immigrant communities. We obviously do a lot of public meetings, and the focus of our engagement is really about bringing in people who are typically underrepresented in the planning process. So we are having conversations internally about pivoting some more of our work to be virtual in communities where people might feel vulnerable and unsafe going into a public meeting. And to that end, we are doing training. It's like we did a Know Your Rights training about a year ago for municipal staff. It was extremely well attended. We're doing another sort of like round 2 Know Your Rights training. I think it's next Tuesday. Also for municipal staff. This one, we kind of made the group a little bit smaller. We didn't open it up as far and wide as we did the first time, but we're still expecting pretty robust attendance for that. And again, I just wanted to let all of you know about some of these impacts that we're already directly seeing at the agency. I expect this will kind of be an ongoing topic of conversation at these meetings. And I'm glad to take any questions about this. I saw Imai, and I think I saw Karen. Yeah.
I was going to say, Lizzie, just call on people.
Sure. Yeah, I'm glad to. Imai, do you want to jump in, and then I'll go to you, Karen?
Sure. Thank you. For the UASI grants, what programs do they run specifically here in Boston, or in Massachusetts? What kind of activities would we be losing under that lack of management funds?
So it's not actually, the UASI program is separate than the Homeland Security program, but the whole rest of the Homeland Security program, and MAPC does not oversee the UASI program. So they got an immediate cut to their actual they got a programmatic funding cut to UASI.
Okay.
And we're less, I have some understanding and knowledge of what the UASI program does, but we're less close to that on the Homeland side. Although the biggest challenge on the UASI funding is that they use their dollars much closer in time to the fiscal year they're received. So when I say that we're about a year and a half out from the impact of these cuts, the UASI program is actually, it's now that the impact from the cuts would actually be immediate. On the Homeland side, so MAPC serves as a fiduciary for several Homeland Security councils, and we run the Northeast Regional Council. And that program is essentially a really significant portion of our pass through to cities and towns to support their homeland security work. So it's buying lots of equipment. Last year, I think I signed a lot of invoices for dive equipment because we actually need that in Massachusetts. It's also, training and supporting law enforcement officers in training exercises. And so we, in the role that MAPC plays in the management space, there are still dollars available to actually purchase things like equipment and training, but there aren't dollars available to actually run the program unless EOPS decides to take that on itself, which they don't. They would have to hire 3 people to do that. So, which I don't think they have. Their EOPS budget didn't go up.
Okay.
Is that distinction clear?
Yeah.
No, it's complicated.
Yeah, it is. I looked up their site and I was trying to figure out what goes on here that we have to worry about. Okay, but I see what you're saying better now. Yes, thank you.
I think the biggest challenge there is that, I think if there aren't dollars to actually run the program and to make sure that the program can stay up and running, it just means that we're actually in the reality is that it creates what I keep calling with the team as a functional cut. Even if the program dollars itself were held harmless, if the management dollars are cut, then we can't run the program. And so it creates this functional cut. So it's honestly, we've been having conversations with our congressional delegation and legislators, and it's a very difficult thing to explain. I want to go to Karen and then I'll come to Sam.
You did a really good job explaining that, though. Thank you. Hopefully it'll translate. I just wanted the clarity. You mentioned that lawsuits are flying, which we all know. Is the Attorney General's office taking the lead on all that?
Not all of them. So I'd say her office, and we're in very frequent communication with her office. We, together with MMA, started coordinating these every other week calls for municipalities. And I'd say in most instances, our municipal leaders from across the region are actually attending those calls. So she's taking the lead on a ton of the lawsuits. There are a handful of lawsuits that are being led either by community-based partners. That's particularly true in the clean energy space. Nonprofit and community-based partners are leading some of those. And then a handful of our cities and towns have actually also taken the lead. So just recently, the requirements around the work requirements and documentation requirements around CDBG spending and HUD spending around food security, several of our communities have actually joined those lawsuits, and they're leading them on their own. So it's not coming from the Attorney General's office. It a little bit depends. I feel like we're all working in very close coordination with each other, which has actually been a really good thing.
No, that's exactly what I was really getting at. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course. Sam.
Lizzie, I'm just going to say again what I said yesterday in officers, which is that part of our work, as I understand it, so certainly my commitment, my feeling about this is there will be some defense we have to play against these actions, which we do not agree with or we don't think are supportive of our region and our communities. But also at the same time, we should model the behavior we would like to see, because there will come a day when this administration is no longer the administration, and there will be a future version of Washington and the Boston region. So I urge you to do both and call on us as you need to get the support you need as you move forward.
Thanks, Sam. I really appreciate that support. And I really feel it because it's honestly, we're still at the beginning of the road, I feel like.
Yes. Okay.
I also wanted to let folks know we have been invited by the legislature actually in 2 instances to offer testimony about the impacts of specifically around federal funding cuts, but also federal decisions. So we're testifying in early November. We were invited to testify alongside our sister RPAs, but we'll testify for MARPA about funding cuts that RPAs are feeling, and it's just an enormous amount of dollars. We were really glad that the legislature asked us to come in and talk about it, because it's so many of the RPAs are in the space of being passed through to our cities and towns. So that'll be really focused on funding cuts. We were just invited yesterday to actually speak to some of these programmatic cuts and changes, particularly on the preparedness side. So in addition to cuts that are potentially happening and being litigated on the Homeland side, there's also cuts that came really early on emergency management, FEMA, emergency preparedness, storm preparedness, and all of those cuts came right at the start of the administration, and those dollars have not actually been restored. And so it's a really, really big issue for a coastal state. And so we are going to be testifying. I think that hearing is closer to Thanksgiving, later in November, about some of those programmatic cuts and specifically focusing on the impacts that they might create. Because if the state ends up needing to be in a position to try to create more dollars for communities in that emergency space.
Great. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you. All those great questions. So we'll just hang in.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Okay, great. So next up on the agenda is a report of the Legislative Committee. I'm going to call on Legislative Chair Keith, who is in transit. If you are safe to speak, Keith, I'm going to call on you.
Thanks so much, Erin. Can you hear me? Very good. Keith Bergman reporting from Cape Cod, headed to Nantucket. And I wanted to say that the Legislative Committee did not meet this month, but it wasn't for lack of exciting things happening on Beacon Hill. And I see Leah Robbins is on the call, so I would invite Leah to speak. First, I just want to assure Lizzie, I got your management report and loved it, and thank you. I really appreciate seeing it in advance. It was also great to see the team at the MARPA conference last week. I think the work that Norman did in organizing, that Lizzie did in leading it, and all of the staff really made us look good. So thank you so much for your work. And Leah.
Leah, I see your lips moving. I can't hear you.
Same here.
Okay.
It work better now?
Yes.
Amazing. I upgraded the audio at my desktop. It's very exciting. It was great to see everyone at the MARPA conference. It was one of the best reasons to get to cancel a Legislative Committee meeting is to get to see everybody in person. Legislature has not slowed down at all. They are meeting later today to talk about a supplemental budget proposal. I want to talk to you a little bit about that, a little bit about some of the other legislation that's been moving, and then any questions you might have. So the supplemental budget that the legislature is taking up today will close out fiscal 25, and they're looking to approve $2.25 billion, with much of that going towards Mass Health payments, which we expected. Also included of interest to this group is some funds for snow and ice at MassDOT, some additional funding for home base, and $12 million for school meals. We're expecting to see some policy amendments attempted later today, so we will be watching those discussions to sort of see where those end up. But I do think it will sell forward. The question will be how it all gets considered in the Senate and how quickly they're able to reconcile a supplemental budget. These, as you guys know, tend to move pretty quickly. But we are gearing up for fiscal 26, 27. I'm living in too many fiscal years at once. The next fiscal year, which we know the governor is going to be releasing in January. So already starting to have conversations with partner agencies and organizations about where they're feeling the most cuts, that we should be preparing to think through if there's any language changes or legislative or funding changes that are needed to make sure work can continue to happen for the municipalities in the region. That's the update on budget. I will say we're starting to see bills reported out from committees, which is very exciting to see early. And because of the rules change this year, committees are posting the vote tallies to see, so you can see who actually voted in support or who reserved their rights for bills, and summaries for the bills are posted as well. If there's any legislation that you are particularly interested in, please do let me know. We're glad to add that to our tracking list to keep you updated. And then later this month, a hearing that we have been long awaiting is the Municipal Empowerment Act that the governor filed. We talked about this at the MARPA conference. I will drop in the chat in a few minutes a link to a letter of support that we are asking folks from around our region to sign on in support, to say that these zero cost tools for municipalities are really important at this time, especially. So this is remote meetings and procurement changes. And we're working with our legislative partners to see if there's appetite to add other pieces to that bill as well. So we are kind of all hands on deck. We're in constant contact with the administration and with MMA and others to try to push that legislation forwards. This was filed last session and didn't really move very far, but particularly in this time when legislators at the State House are looking for ways to be a partner with cities and towns, where we're hoping that this can really get some traction. But it won't get traction if they don't hear that it's a priority. And I think that's what we've been seeing throughout this session is the loudest voices are really helping legislation rise to the top. And these are not issues that are going to land on the front page of the Globe necessarily. So it's going to take direct outreach from individuals, from municipal leaders to their legislators to help us get this bill passed. That really does seem like the main way. We are talking to the Lieutenant Governor's office a lot about this bill as well, and there may be some opportunities to engage in person on the bill, and we will keep you posted as those opportunities get finalized. Sorry to be really vague. It's not set yet, so I don't want to overpromise. But we're excited to support for that bill. And that's what I got. We expect all the hearings to be done by the first week of December. So, and we are most of the way through all of the bills that MAPC has endorsed. And then it's going to be a big conversation about what bills we can get to an appointed conference committee by the end of July. That'll be the next real major deadline that legislators are up against, and we expect them to work right up until the wire.
All right. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Keith. Is there any questions or comments on this topic? All right. Well, thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. Of course, I closed out my agenda window, but that's okay. So next up on the agenda is any other business not known at the time of posting this agenda. And I'm going to call on Lizzie, who has a few announcements.
Sure. Just really want to make sure folks are registered for and planning to attend the council meeting. I think Emma is going to add the link in case you have not yet registered. The meeting is on October 29th, so it's in 2 weeks in Arlington Town Hall from 9:30 to 12. And we have a really great panel of speakers who are going to be talking about and highlighting some of the arts and culture work in our region. I've actually been saying this a lot lately, just even in my conversations about taking on this role, that I actually think now is the time to make sure we're actually really investing and making continued investments in arts and culture work. It's always the first thing to go in budget challenges, but it's actually one of the places where we can really lean into our communities. So I'm excited for the panel. I think it's going to be a really good conversation, and I hope all of you can make it. We'll also be giving an update on MPO elections. It's the other important piece. And I think that was it for any other new business.
And our next executive committee meeting is Wednesday, November 19th, in person, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, great. Well, you'll be missed, Keith. All right. So if there is no other business, I am happy to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda and to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion made by Imai, second made by Mo. Please come off mute, if you will, for me. And here we go. Imai,
Aye.
Colette, Keith,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Jen,
Aye.
Tom D, Whitney,
Aye.
John D,
Aye.
Sarah D,
Aye.
Tom G,
Aye.
Mo,
Aye.
Sagoon, Tabor,
Yes.
Robert, Sarah L,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Peter,
Aye.
Viana, Vandana,
Aye.
Claire,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Steve,
Yes.
Juan, Elaine,
Aye.
and Erin. Aye. And with that, the motion carries and the meeting is adjourned at 12:17 p.m. Thank you all for joining, and I look forward to seeing you all, well, almost all of you, in person in Arlington in 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
until then, bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Erin. Bye all.